Hi everyone. So I've been getting a few questions, so I wanted to make a quick video on how to enter data for your scatter plots before you actually start creating them. So you should be seeing here in front of you split up. We've got Canvas on one side, and I've got a data set, a lot of data sets actually, but a table of data on the other. So you should be able to see both of those. So for my data set, I'm going to come down here in my data analysis project to my spreadsheet. Click that. And I'm actually going to open this in a separate tab because this is going to be way too small and not really be enough space for me to work with. So I'm going to click here to open up the spreadsheet. As we give this a moment here. All right, so when you open it, this is probably what you will see first, or it should be what you see first. See if I can move this out of the way so I can show you a few key things. Maybe it's going to move, maybe it's not. We'll see. I'm going to give this a moment. It's going to run extra slow right now, of course. I also have a hungry child in the background, so she doesn't realize that I'm currently recording, and so I will help her out in a few minutes. All right. Looks like it's almost ready. So essentially, like, this is what your spreadsheet's going to look like when you first come in here. So this is for my data set 1. And then you'll notice down at the bottom, you have tabs for data set 2 and an example data set. So I'm looking at data right now on the imprisonment rates of U.S. residents based on sentenced prisoners by race or ethnicity. So I'm going to focus on that. So this, just to clarify, there's another table in here if you're working on imprisonment rates that just has the total number of prisoners or people incarcerated for the different races. This is a little bit different. This shows the number per 100,000 people in the population. So like in 2008, 250 out of every 100,000 white person was incarcerated, while there were 1,580 out of every 100,000 Black people incarcerated, or 691 out of every 100,000 Hispanic people who were incarcerated. So this actually gives like a better picture of the disparity and the injustice in our justice system. So what I'm going to first do over here is type out these years. So I have 2008 through 2018. So I'm just going to type those in. If I have every year, I can type out 3 years, give this the pattern. I'm going to highlight all of those, and this little blue box here I can click and drag, and it's really nice. It fills in all of those years for me. I need one more there. And then I also am going to have this years after or years since. This years after or years since, it's ideal if we can have it going from a 0 year. So I'm actually going to keep it as the year 2000, since before 2008, the closest year was the year 2000. So 2008 was 8 years after the year 2000. 2009 was 9 years, etc. So 10 years. And again, I can do the same thing here. Since this pattern continues, click and drag. And then my Y variable, we've been getting a lot of questions on that. So I'm going to say here, I'm going to put which demographic group I'm looking at. I'll put that in the title of my scatter plot, but as I'm entering this data, this is prisoners per 100,000 U.S. residents. That is the actual data set, and this is where I'm going to type out my data. So if I started, let's say that my first data set was going to be I was going to look at the white incarceration rate, then I would type out my 250 in 2008, 245 in 2009, 245, 240, et cetera, being really careful to make sure that this data is correct from my data set. So I'm typing very carefully, like I just made a mistake there, so I'm going to retype it. 222, 221, and 218. And from here, I could then move on to creating my scatter plot, which is in the scatter plot video on Canvas. So to find the scatter plot video on Canvas, we're going to come back over to modules, and we're going to come down to just below the spreadsheet in a moment. Just below the spreadsheet here, we've got our creating scatter plots video. That's not going to work the way I want it to. We've got it right there. No, not that. I don't know what just happened, but that's okay. We've got the 3-dot creating scatter plots video. I hope this is helpful and to enter in your data. To get to the second data set, I need to move these out of the way. You can come down here and click right here where it says data set number 2. You'll click that, and then you'll do exactly the same thing we just did. So I would, everything else for me in this case is the same. So I could actually copy and paste my first 2 columns, since I have the same years. And then the still prisoners per 100,000 US residents. And then I would start filling in, if I was looking at the black rate, the black data here. And I would go through each of those years. So that time I'm looking at the black data here, this column. I hope this is helpful.